Tomb Raider has some really good, I think, physics puzzles.
It is a
Really?
couple
I
of
definitely give them that. It's,
Really?
It's
There was
fun-
one
stuff that you
point-
figure out, and you're like, oh, I feel kind of.
There's one point where I saw, like, you know, and I get this every Tomb Raider game, where I will hit this one puzzle and I'll be
Was
mental
it the
blocked
elevator?
for an hour.
Was it the elevator or no?
No, not the elevator. But no, there is. It's actually beyond that, and it was on the last level. But we'll talk about that afterwards.
Okay.
But it was one of those ones that was so simple to solve once I finally got my mind around it. But I sat for an hour just trying to figure it out. In the end, I put my controller away, went and smoked, and had a bite to eat, and came back. And then it's like, oh, why didn't I do that one simple thing? And that's a hallmark of a Tomb Raider game for me. And for that alone, it does perhaps deserve the title Tomb Raider, just because it has one irritatingly simple puzzle that I'm too stupid to get.
I mean, just to talk about puzzles for like 10 seconds, I think they've been kind of stripped bare from a lot of games lately, but I still think the ones that haven't been put back in games are the pure puzzle games. Like I just played Antichamber, which is pretty much just pure puzzles. I like what I'm seeing, and I like, again, just a quick aside, I'm glad that Jonathan Blow again went up on the PlayStation meeting and, hey, here's a puzzle game that kind of looks like Myst and little weird grids. So I'm glad that's having a resurgence because, I mean, it is about pacing, right? Can you just nonstop headshot people?
I mean, okay, I didn't address pacing yet, I guess, in talking here.
Okay.
There are times where you will go, 30, 45 minutes without actually engaging in combat. But between those points are, kill 100 guys, or there's a ledge, and guys will literally flood. They're on zip lines, they're throwing dynamite at you, and you really have to get rid of, a couple dozen people maybe before you can progress. And then you're in a big, like I said, the hub areas. Usually when you reach a hub, you take some time to puzzle it out. You look around, you find out, okay, where do I need to get and how do I get there?
And the only thing
How
that's
can I use
missing
my
when those
tools?
guys start ziplining in is literally, I mean, it happens sometimes, but not every time, thank God. The metal door slamming shut behind you, or something, a wall caving down, because then you know they are coming. There are a few tried and tested tropes. Go back to your point on puzzles. I think Portal and Portal 2 have sort of like set a bar and opened up puzzles to a lot more people. And I don't think a lot of companies are taking advantage of. I think, some of the puzzles in Portal are, fiendishly, incredibly hard to crack once but then as soon as you do it, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it took me so long. And I think those sort of things have a place. They have a place in Tomb Raider, especially for the next one, where it is more, perhaps traveling the world and building up, doing some missions. And you can put the story in there and you can make it globetrotting.
The problem is when puzzles are roadblocks.
Yeah.
Because like Portal, you're test chamber by test chamber, and there are especially Portal 2 is the little interim in between sections where there's a little more latitude, like a lot of like the achievements and lore stuff's kind of hidden there. But what I liked about Antichamber is you can kind of just wander and knock your head on a bunch of things. And like you said, you were stuck in Tomb Raider, like you could not progress, right? I mean, that's the old reason when I grew up playing the Sierra games, you could they were kind of like open world adventures, like in comparison to kind of some of the LucasArts, not all of them. Like I know Maniac Mansion, you can kind of go wherever you want. But oh yeah, I mean, going back to the cave even, a couple weeks ago. It's just people have to do these with a good hand. Like you played Lord of Shadow, the Castlevania game.
Yeah.
Like those puzzles are like there's puzzles in that game, and then it's like press Y if you would like to skip this puzzle. And I'm like, maybe that is the right approach at this point, because I like kind of figuring out some of that stuff, but obviously some people just want to get back to whipping and shooting people in the face.
Maybe give it a cutscene, Laura. Laura,
But it does. No, it is a bone of contention, and that you do get to. We've got Laura up to a certain degree. I've got the ultra strong pickaxe. I've got the rope that I can fire an arrow and make a rope bridge, and she can scale up the side of a mountain, hanging by one hand in a gale force wind. And then, boom, I've entered this one particular chamber. There's a door closed, and there's rocks above the top that I've managed to knock the rocks off from. But I can't scale the door, which has got lots of protrusions, or the rocks, the decorative rock face around it, which, again, I can't scale, even though there's enough grips there, and I've got this ultra axe that can go into almost anything. That, to me, is always really fucking annoying.
Did you finish DMC?
No, I never got to finish it.
Right towards the end, that game's mainly combat, a little bit of exploring, going back with your new abilities, but right at the end there's like 9 tiles and you have to like not butt stomp them, whatever, your powerful downward power attack,
can say
and it
down
makes him like rotate, and I was just like, oh come on. I do like when people dress that stuff up and they integrate it better. Like the physics puzzles, always really cool. Like
Well,
Half-Life,
if you can
Half-Life
use your,
1,
if you
Half-Life
can
2.
use the natural, physics in the game, and it makes sense, and you can go, oh, okay, I can puzzle that solution. But
don't-
I guess in Tomb Raider,
Gordon
there are points
Freeman
where
kills a lot of
it's just
people,
one
huh?
way to.
Well,
at
don't
least he
use
shuts
it-
up about it.
Don't use it as a roadblock. Use it as an incentive. So it's like, yes, I've got to this section, and yeah, I can plow straight through, and I can climb up and over here with a little bit of thought, or I can take the extra time to solve this puzzle that will also unlock something really cool. That is, whether a piece of treasure or more experience or more salvage or whatever it is. That would be a nice way to give you the route to go through, and then the route just to come back, and say, all right, I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to try this, but I know I can step away, and it's not going to spoil the game for me. I'm never going to be able to get through to that end segment. And that would be, I think, a great thing. But that comes back to a lot of people then saying, oh, you just don't like difficult games. You're a fucking pussy.
Well, to mention difficult games, can I just, for the 18th millionth time, bring up Dark Souls, where that game doesn't really have puzzles, but it does have a sense of exploration.
Yeah. Well, it definitely has.
Even if it's limited motion, like, you're not climbing stuff, like, it actually...
Except for ladders. There are a few
True. But, like, there is a couple places where you have to make some jumps, too, which are kind of awkward, but, like, the sense of exploration in a more, like, I don't know, in a more raw sense, it's still very, very rewarding. Instead of just having these giant open worlds where you can't open any doors and it's just some streets that you can like race down.
Well, I was hoping that that's what we'll start to see in the next gen, where we do start to see more stuff that they take advantage of. It's not just prettier graphics, but they take advantage of having more doors to open, having more buildings to explore, having to going off that beaten path. And I think Skyrim perhaps has done this a lot better than I think a lot of games have done, where they've they have created this huge environment that is pretty much fully scalable, and you can explore every nook and cranny, and that's obviously that's the way forward. All right, so that's the end of this week's show. We'll be back next week. Don't forget, Assassin's Creed 4 is getting a lot of love right now. It's been, kind of announced. It's Black Flag, it's YAR, and then there's a whole bunch of cool things going on. And they've been sending the teams off to film different stuff. And then the big embargo's up on Monday, I think. A lot of specials, so tune in next week, this week, and every week, because it's awesome. And this is GT, and you should watch us. And don't use AdBlock, you bastards. That's the show. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.